See, the goal isn't to not make mistakes, but the goal is to learn from them. And I'm going to talk about 5 huge mistakes I made financially that would have had me in a way better position had I done the right thing then. But the best way to learn is to fail. So that's exactly what I did. But you, the viewer, can learn from my mistakes, hopefully. But realistically, if you're an entrepreneur, it's in your nature to try things in the mindset of thinking I could just do better than him. I just won't make the mistakes he made, which could be true, but very likely that you do the same thing. So if you watch the whole video, maybe you can avoid some mistakes that can potentially save you a lot of dollars in your pocket. Let's get into it. And trust me, when you start to make financial mistakes, it's like that pit in your stomach that you wish that you didn't do it at the time. At the time, it feels like the end of the world. But as you grow as an entrepreneur or grow in your financial status, you realize without that thing happening, you really wouldn't know the things you know today. So trust me when I say I didn't really want these things to happen, but they did. And I think it can help anybody who's on the same life path. The worst financial mistake I ever made, and I'm going to come in hot, it was starting a business. And trust me, I understand. Majority of people think starting a business is actually the best financial move you can make. But it's not all what it seems, especially on the internet. Starting a business is probably one of the most difficult things to do. Well, starting it isn't that difficult, but it actually succeeding is literally one of the hardest things to do. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Truly. I mean, you have to worry about capital, you have to worry about overhead, you have to worry about P&L sheets. There's a lot of moving parts. And if you have employees, that's just another problem. And not to say employees are a bad thing. They definitely help the business, but it just brings on new things that you have to learn. And a lot of people don't account for a lot of things that are involved with businesses, like even apps that you need in order for your business to function properly, like all the mechanics and all the things you would need to operate the business through those apps. And it's just so many moving parts. But let me tell you where it hit me financially, so maybe you can understand what I'm trying to say here. I started my first business when I was 19, meaning I did not have any experience running a business, and it showed. As a matter of fact, I didn't even have the knowledge to know that I was even operating a business at the time. I just did it for fun, but it was a business 100% because we sold stuff and we created stuff. We had a system. So it was truly a business, just me not knowing it was a business. But that business kind of slowly died out. I wouldn't necessarily say it fell, but my second business, this is the one where I really had to start to learn how to truly operate a business and understand the numbers in the back end rather than the front end. But to make a long story short, basically I invested a ton of capital into my second business, thinking that as long as I just threw money at it, it would fix all the problems, which it actually did not do that. It actually made it worse because the business just wasn't a good business. It didn't have a good name. It didn't operate properly. I didn't understand what to do when things were going wrong or the marketing wasn't working. As a matter of fact, I didn't even really understand how to make money with the business. And that sound pretty self-explanatory. It's like sales stuff. But when you're actually operating a business, it has to have a why. It has to have some reason why somebody would want to buy it. And I just thought that people would like what I was selling because I liked it. And that's far from the truth. A lot of people fall into that fantasy that people like what they like. So as long as I'm selling it, people will buy it from me because I'm a special person, which unfortunately, nobody falls in that boat, and everybody has to build themselves, whether that's through family or they just build themselves through networking and working with other people and just working extremely hard. Here's the part most people don't talk about with businesses. So when that business miserably fell and I lost a lot of money, I also lost a lot of respect in the process. I lost a lot of connections. And with those things happening, when I started my third business, I guess you could see where this is going. No money, no respect, no connections. And it's kind of hard to start a business without those 3 ingredients. Wouldn't you agree? I lost those 3 things due to me trying to run my other business. You know what the entrepreneurs always say, cut off anybody that don't believe in your dreams or your process because they are just haters. But maybe they actually care about your well-being and don't see what you're doing to go far. And of course, you have those select few people who actually break through the mold, but there's so many more people that we just don't hear their story because they didn't break through the mold. I can talk about that financial mistake for a long time, but let's move on to the second one, which is buying a brand new car. I never really bought a brand new car, but I bought a used car that was extremely expensive, and I talked about that a little bit in this video over here that you could check out after this one. But buying a car can be one of the worst financial moves you can make. Of course, I understand there are people who need their car to commute back from work or pick their kids up, or just they need the car for their own purposes. And if you need a car, then of course I understand you have to buy it. But you will be surprised of how many people don't truly need a car, but actually can make it work through other methods that would be a lot cheaper. So if you're one of those people, maybe you don't even need to buy a car, but maybe you are one of those individuals that need to buy a car. I would avoid a new car at all costs and try to buy a used car, because the new car market is pretty insane at the time of filming this video. And when you buy a brand new car off the lot, it loses value the second that you drive it off the lot. It's just one of those things that where if you know you're going to lose a lot of value on something the second that you purchase it, it's probably best that you just avoid it altogether, in my opinion. My third worst financial move is picking the wrong friends. And let's be real, the top 5 people that you hang with, you most likely act just like those people. So if they want to sit around and do nothing and you want to do something, you kind of going against that group's beliefs, and they believe that you are trying to be better than them. And I'm sure a lot of people that's watching this kind of content definitely falls in that boat where you feel like an outcast because you want to do a little bit more than everybody else around you. And trust me, what I'm about to say next, you're not going to want to hear, because you are the eyeball of the group, because majority of people just want to find a good job that they could settle at for the rest of their lives, where they make just enough to live paycheck to paycheck, barely over water. And this is not to be negative towards people who do not strive towards a dream, but essentially that's how majority of Americans live. And I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I'm not saying that you're wrong for thinking like this or thinking like that. That one friend in the group that's trying to get to the next level, they are the black sheep. Out of all the people that you hang around, majority of them don't really care to go anywhere in life. And even if they do, they just talk about it. They keep saying, oh, well, I'm going to do it one day. And that one day never comes. But there is somebody in that group that truly put actions to words. Like, they don't just let their days go by. They keep fighting for the next hit and try to be consistent with the things they're doing. But they hang around people that tell them to slow down or relax or hang out, or you don't find time for me no more. You're not really my friend. If you got people around you like that, unfortunately, if you're trying to get to the next level in life, you simply have to cut them off. And this is not for those people who just want to be regular people, have a regular job, and come home and relax with their people or their family. If that's you, then you don't fall in this category. But if you want to be one of those people, those 1% of people, unfortunately, you have to cut those friends off if you want to get to that level, because they will always hold you back, because they do not understand what you're trying to do. This next money mistake I made, I feel like everybody make this money mistake, but investing their time in low value skills, I mean, is extremely hard not to, because we start off by going to school, which we're already being taught something that isn't really quite that necessary. Of course, math, reading, all that stuff is needed, but once we start learning about the stuff that don't really matter, like we don't really learn about taxes, we don't learn about how to handle our money in school, so you're already learning a low value skill in school. Then you start off at a very low level job like fast food or retail, something along those lines, which both still very low value skills. And then maybe if you go to school or maybe do something that requires you to sell or make you get outside your comfort zone, you then start to possibly build a high level skill. But majority of people never get to that point. They get stuck at that low level and they just get promotions and raises within that low level. So if you worked at fast food or retail, you may get promotions and raises at that place until eventually you retire, or even worse, die. So it's very important at the youngest age possible to not be wasting so much time on a low value skill. And trust me, I've seen so many people fall down this path and they just can't get back up. I mean, it's extremely hard. I mean, I almost fell down this path because I was being too stubborn. I did not want to do the skill I have. I was like, I just want to do this. And you get so focused on the thing that you want to do, not realizing how low value it is. Because let's be real, even if you're in an industry where you feel that it is high value and you could just easily be fired the next day and there's plenty of people that'll take your spot, that's not really a high value skill. So you have to sit down and figure out what truly is a high value skill and something that you believe is a high value skill, and separate the two. I understand this last money mistake is very controversial, but I feel I have to say it. But don't wait till you're in the financial position you want to be in to find love. And this one pretty self-explanatory. The reason why you wouldn't do that, because you would then only attract, I hate to say it, gold diggers. And of course, we have those people who do actually find real love at that level. But the likelihood of that is so small compared to you finding somebody when you're trying to build yourself. Because if they're willing to be with you at a low level, even when you're down, when you're up, they'll always be there. They will support you through those hard times, because even when you're up, there is still downs at the top. And this goes for both genders. I'm not saying male or female, either gender. Just make sure the person that you settle down with is willing to go through anything with you, because when it comes to finances, what I've noticed in relationships, a lot of people can be iffy, and money does play a big factor in your relationship, regardless of how you want to look at it. Money is a big part of a relationship, and I've seen this with multiple people, and even the best relationships fall apart due to money. So make sure you find a partner that can really go through thick and thin with you, and not just say they will because they see all the things you have today. And those are 5 huge money mistakes keeping you poor. And this is not financial advice, but I can almost guarantee you, if you avoid those 5 things, you will be way better off financially. And like I said, I experienced these money mistakes personally, or I know someone who did. And to be honest with you, when you make a financial mistake, it can really haunt you. So you really truly want to avoid these mistakes. But I do know the best teacher in life is experience. So whether you heard this part and made it to this part in the video, which I greatly appreciated, you're still going to do a lot of these things anyways. But with that being said, I'll see you on the next one.